Welcome back to the Clump of Cells YouTube channel, where we discuss and analyze key moments in American history to better understand our rights and roles as citizens. Today we're looking at the 15th Amendment. What is the 15th Amendment? What does it mean? Let's get into it. The 15th Amendment comes in two parts, or sections, if you will. Section 1. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Section 2. The Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Picture this. It's the late 19th century. The Civil War has ended, but the battle for equality rages on. The 15th Amendment comes into play here, becoming a beacon of hope in an era marked by inequality and discrimination. Ratified in 1870, its primary intention was to protect the voting rights of African American men, a noble and necessary endeavor. This amendment became a cornerstone of American democracy, a testament to the nation's commitment to progress and fairness. It was a pivotal moment in American history, an affirmation that the principles of liberty and justice were not just hollow words, but promises to be upheld. However, the journey of the 15th Amendment wasn't a smooth sail. It was a tough road filled with legal battles and societal resistance. The 15th Amendment was a landmark step towards democracy, but its journey has been fraught with challenges. The year was 1876. United States v. Reese was the first major test for the 15th Amendment. In the heart of Kentucky, two election officials, William Reese and William Garner, were brought before the courts. Their crime? Refusing to register an African American man, William Garner, to vote unless he paid a poll tax, a fee that he could not afford. This was a clear violation of the 15th Amendment, which stated that the right to vote could not be denied based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. The case was heard by the Supreme Court, and the nation waited with bated breath. On one side, the United States argued that Reese and Garner had violated Garner's constitutional rights under the 15th Amendment. On the other side, Reese and Garner argued that the amendment did not explicitly grant anyone the right to vote. Rather, it merely outlined circumstances where the right could not be denied. As the arguments raged on, a critical point emerged. The 15th Amendment was not as watertight as it seemed. The language of the amendment was indeed ambiguous. It prohibited states from denying the vote based on race or color, but it did not explicitly state that every citizen had the right to vote. In a controversial decision, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Reese and Garner. The court held that the 15th Amendment did not confer the right of suffrage, but merely introduced a new exemption to the power of the states to regulate voting rights. This meant that while states could not deny voting rights based on race or color, they could introduce other barriers like poll taxes and literacy tests to restrict the electorate. This case highlighted a significant loophole in the 15th Amendment. It showed that while the amendment was a step in the right direction, it was not enough to guarantee universal suffrage. Despite the setback, the fight for universal suffrage continued, leading to another significant case. 1944. We find ourselves in the midst of Smith v. Allwright, a landmark case that reinforced the 15th Amendment. The Smith v. Allwright case was an essential turning point in the fight for voting rights. It all began when Lonnie E. Smith, a dentist and an African American citizen of Texas, was denied the right to vote in a primary election. This was due to the Texas Democratic Party's policy of holding white primaries, where only white individuals were allowed to vote. Smith decided to challenge this denial, arguing that it violated the 15th Amendment's promise that the right to vote shall not be denied or abridged on account of race. He was represented by Thurgood Marshall, a name that would later become synonymous with the fight for civil rights. The state of Texas, represented by Attorney General Grover Sellers, defended its policy by arguing that political parties were private organizations, and as such, they could choose their members and establish their own rules. They contended that the 15th Amendment did not apply to the primary elections, which they considered a part of the internal workings of a party, not a state action. However, the Supreme Court did not agree with this argument. In an 8-1 decision, they ruled in Smith's favor, stating that denying African Americans the right to vote in primary elections was indeed a violation of the 15th Amendment. The court held that when a state delegates its electoral process to a private entity, that entity becomes a state actor and is subject to the Constitution's restrictions. This landmark decision effectively ended the use of white primaries and marked a significant victory for African American voting rights. It reinforced the 15th Amendment's authority and demonstrated its power in dismantling institutionalized racial discrimination. Smith v. Allwright reinvigorated the 15th Amendment, showcasing its enduring relevance in the fight for voting rights. The 15th Amendment, United States v. Reese, Smith v. Allwright. What do they all mean for us today? Let's take a moment to recap. The 15th Amendment, ratified in 1870, was a monumental stride forward in the pursuit of equality, granting African American men the right to vote. Despite this, however, the struggle for true equality was far from over. Our journey took us to the United States v. Reese case in 1876, a crucial turning point where the Supreme Court ruled that the 15th Amendment did not grant the right to vote, but merely prohibited discrimination based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. This ruling allowed states to implement their own voting restrictions, which led to widespread disenfranchisement of African Americans. We then moved on to the landmark case of Smith v. Allwright in 1944, where the Supreme Court overruled its earlier stance. It held that denying African Americans the right to vote in primary elections was a violation of the 15th Amendment. This decision was a significant victory in the battle against racial discrimination in the United States. So where does this leave us today? The 15th Amendment serves as a powerful reminder of our nation's ongoing fight for equality. It underscores the importance of vigilance and active participation to ensure that our democratic processes are fair and inclusive. The legal cases we discussed demonstrate how interpretations of the Constitution can evolve over time, shaping the course of American democracy. They highlight the critical role of the judiciary in safeguarding our fundamental rights and setting precedents that pave the way for future progress. In essence, the 15th Amendment and the legal battles that ensued have left an indelible mark on our nation's history. They underscore the importance of our ongoing struggle to realize the promise of equality embedded in our Constitution. The 15th Amendment's journey reminds us that the fight for equality is ongoing. As we navigate our present, we must remember our past, for it shapes our path forward. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. It helps me grow a community that values and loves American history. Until next time, I'm Clump of Cells. Stay informed and love your history.